Hello and welcome to week 2 of the official Pro.Spectors tournament. This week we have about 15 teams competing to see who can take home the number 1 first place for week 2 of our season 3 qualifiers. Today will be Modix and myself casting this entire tournament. We have 3 rounds going. Like I said, 15 teams, lots of new faces, lots of returning players. We're going to go over what happened last week as soon as we finish introducing. Modix, are you ready for this tournament?
I am stoked for this tournament. I mean, week one was amazing, but sadly we had a bit of technical difficulties with the whole stream process. But hopefully we're back and it's actually gonna work. And so we'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, I just can't wait for this to start.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very cool. So to start out, I'm just going to go over some of our top performers from last week. The tournament will be starting in about 5 to 10 minutes, by the way, anybody watching. So just stay tuned and we will be having the gameplay for this season coming soon. But last week, we had Cobots coming in first place. We had North Shore GG coming in at second place, OxyClean in third, and then there's a very large margin between third and fourth, and in fourth place we had Team Genesis. So our top 3 teams were very consistent throughout. They all were in between 40 and 43, but the closest to them was at 27. Modix, do you think we are going to see these top 3 teams again coming in and winning, or do you think it was possibly maybe a little bit of luck on their side?
I think that there might have been a bit of luck involved with some of the teams. I know that OxyClean did only queue with a full PCL lobby once, so they definitely took some hits with that deduction from non-PCL teams in their lobbies. So I would like to see them actually go against some PCL teams and run it up against them and see if they can do the same thing, because they need to show us that they deserve that third place spot. And then I know that Cobots and North Shore GG both played in basically full PCL lobbies. So of course we can't say that anybody did it on purpose, because we don't have custom lobbies, so we can't make sure that people go into the right lobbies. But it's going to be interesting to see how all that process works out today.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm really excited to see how these teams are able to combat the fact that we don't have custom lobbies, just because it does add a little bit more RNG to these games than we would really like to. But we do have information that custom lobbies should be coming within the next month, I have heard. So these tournaments should get even more skill-based, even better to cast. All of that good stuff is going to be going down, and it is going to be absolutely phenomenal to see all of those teams going up against each other. Another thing that I did notice, it was Team OxyClean that you were talking about that did not get in many PCL lobbies, and they're a mainly PvP team I have seen, considering they have players such as Vertically Obese, Splice, Gotcha, and Lost. Do you think that their strategy going into this one is going to be to PvP more if they do get into these PCL lobbies?
I honestly don't know. If I know anybody from OxyClean, it's Vert, and I know that he's playing to win this week. He wants to show everybody that his team got into the top 5 for a reason. They are glad that they got into the top 5 because, as you guys know, we have a circuit where the top 5 teams after 3 weeks gets invited to an invitational. So he's going to be out here ready to prove that he deserves one of those spots. I don't know if that's going to be PvP or PvE, and I'm just excited to see. I know that we're going to be able to tell right after the first match that we see of them, because if we see that everybody's dead, we know whose lobby it was, and it will most likely be Vert's.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very cool to see. We also have some other teams here. I'm looking at the stats from last week, and it actually turns out Team Short had the most points from Bounty last week, with 16 points coming out just from the bounty contract itself. So overall, it seems from our statistics, Team Short actually was doing the most PvP last week, but they ended up coming in about 10th place. It does seem, I might be a little off with that, but it seems that the teams that have been focusing PvP are really not doing that well. What contracts do you say they're going to need to be prioritizing in order to win this?
So if you guys have played any of the cycle or heard me give any tips, you have to go for the passive points, because the great thing about passive points, you don't have to stay in one spot to get those points. You can go do other things, such as like if a cycle spike's happening, it's great to grab the uplink right before that so that you're getting the uplink VPs while everybody else is in cycle spike trying to get VPs, so nobody's going to go and contest you. So it's just the balance of passive contracts. But then some of the non-passive contracts I would say is definitely cycle spike and Veltacite minerals, because if you can do these, you're going to get some high VP matches. But we have to remember that Cycle Spike is RNG based. So, I mean, some of those teams that are lucky enough to get Cycle Spike in their match will get more points than teams that don't.
Yeah, that is very true. Again, I'm looking back at the statistics from last week because I feel like last week is really going to tell us a lot about how this week is going to go, especially since the meta has not changed that much. We have not seen anything crazy happening with these new updates and patches, and it seems that Crystals and Bounty as well as Hunt were some of the best contracts for teams to do last week. One contract that I saw only one team prioritizing is the Laser Drill, a very interesting contract to complete, especially in a tournament type setting. And Team OxyClean was actually one of the only teams to even do Laser Drill. Do you think Laser Drill is even a viable contract for a tournament setting like this?
See, I would say yes because you can get those VPs, but I don't know if like any teams will get Laser Drill, because I personally haven't seen Laser Drill in so long. Since they made it, you either get Uplink or Laser Drill, but you definitely want to prioritize whichever one you get in your lobby, because that's the highest VP contract you can get. Maybe you could get more for Veltacite, but that's going to take a long time. So definitely, if you have Laser Drill, you're going to want to hold that the whole game. I mean, 2 players could very well do this alone, and then you just have to hope nobody runs up. But that's going to be an interesting fight. Maybe a 2v4 happens, and that's going to be fun to cast for you guys.
Yeah, very true. The PvP fights in the cycle are definitely very fun to play in and even more fun to watch in. Just the teamwork that's required to win a lot of these fights, especially in a squads game, and even more so whenever you are in such a high level of competition here. We have all of the best players from all over the US and even some European players that have come out here today to prove their skill. But these are the top players in the cycle right now out of the hundreds of thousands of people that have played this game and attempted to get good. These are the players that are going to be the absolute best right now. Now, last week we saw that Crystals were the #1 contract completed by all just due to the current meta. Right now, Crystals, more specifically Veltacite Crystals, are being completed by a lot of teams because they're a very good contract, not only to give you a good amount of VPs, but they also bring your credits up very, very quickly. Now, credits are a major thing to focus on, especially whenever you're playing in the PCL, mainly because you need to be getting your weapons very quickly. If you stay with your pistol for a large amount of time, odds are a team is going to be able to take you out very, very effectively and easily. Now, if you're able to save up 200 credits for even a scrapper, or even better, 500 credits for a basilisk or a kinetic arbiter, an advocate, really any 500 credit weapon, a shattergun, is going to be able to protect you even better than your pistol would be able to, which is essential, especially when you're running with teams such as Team OxyClean that is going to be going for a lot of PvP trying to take you out. And the scariest part about teams like that is the fact that they have such good communication. Their communication skills are absolutely absurd. If you find yourself out in the open and them foresee you, you are going to be downed in an instant. They have such good communication. Their leadership skills are of very high quality, and they're just really able to, as a team, work together to very strategically eliminate their opponents. They will even purposefully target certain players that they know are going to be better at PvP. That way they can take them out of the fight as soon as possible. Now, I do see we are loading into our first game. We are getting all of the different perspectives set up for all of you. That way we will be able to switch back and forth and see who is going to be in this lobby. Now, before we do that, we are going to talk real quickly about how this stream is going to be working from now on, because you guys do see we are on YouTube right now on the Modix YouTube channel, one of the top tips and tricks YouTube channels for the cycle right now. But next week, we are going to be on twitch.tv/official prospectors. Now, this is going to be the official channel for our Twitch streams and for the cast from now on. This week, we just want to really make sure that we have all of the stuff set up absolutely perfectly so that when we do go live on there, you guys are going to be able to expect only the highest quality out of all of these casts. Also, if we do look at our current scoring method, in case you do not know about how scores work, basically, you end up getting points for the tournament in a fashion that is a little bit different than you might be used to. You get points based on your lobby position. You get points per VP you get, and you only can get points if you get one team member to evac. Now, the points based on your lobby position are going to go like this. The first place team is going to end up with 10 points. Second place is going to end up with 7 points. Third with 5 points. Fourth with 3 points. And fifth place team is going to get 2 points. Now, for every 10 VP you get, you are also going to get an extra point that can also be rounded into decimals. So if you end up with 10.2, if you end up with 12 VP, you will end up with 1.2 points added on to your lobby positioning. Now, we have seen some teams in the past trying to queue up into pub lobbies, or say a European team will end up just getting queued with a different group just purely based on location and servers because we do not have custom lobbies. But this has been accounted for in our scoring system based on our deduction of points for each non-PCL team in our lobby. So for every non-PCL team in the lobby, you will be deducted 1 point, which is basically equivalent to 10 VP. So if you are the only PCL team in the lobby, you have to get an extra 40 VP in order to stay caught up with everyone else. Now, this can be very unfortunate for some teams if they just end up loading in a little bit later, but it is what is needed right now, considering we do not have any other better way to do it. But like we did say earlier in the cast, we are going to be getting custom lobbies soon, which is going to make these tournaments even more competitive and even more fun. Another thing that I want to talk about is exactly how this tournament is laid out, just so that you guys can make sure that you understand exactly how this is going to go. So right now we are in week 2 of season 3. Now we are going to have 3 weeks of qualifiers, and then the top 5 teams at the end of these 3 weeks are going to go on to the invitational, which is going to be on week 4. And this invitational is going to be between those 5 teams. They're going to be battling it out to see who is the best team for this season. The best team will be getting rewards. We do not have the rewards actually released yet, but I can tell you guys we do have some great stuff planned for these teams. If you guys do want to get in on the action, there's a link to the official PRO.Spectors Discord. You guys can go ahead and join that. Hop into these games. You do not have to be a professional player to play in these tournaments, but it is definitely good to get yourself some practice against some of these top level players. That way you can see how much you need to improve. I know we saw a lot of teams last week coming in and not performing exactly how well as they wanted, but I have seen them practicing. I've been popping into Twitch streams all week, seeing who has been practicing, seeing if they are trying to get better. And I know for sure Team Stone Fateau, they finished in almost last place last week, but this week I'm expecting big things from them. They have been practicing pretty hard. Their team has been trying to get better, and I'm really hoping to see them perform even better this week. We're going to go over our top 3 positions one more time so you guys can make sure you are kept up. Cobots is in first place. Now, Cobots is a team made up of Menorca, Chazon, Cage, and Jigglebun.ttv. Second place, we have NSGG, also known as North Shore GG. That team is made up of The Food, Slapscope, Crisis Shot, and King Quasi. And then in our third place position, Team OxyClean, that is going to consist of Vertically Obese, Splice, Gotcha, and Lost. Fourth place, Team Genesis, which consists of our players It's Alpha, Doom, Pants, and Syndron. And then finally, our fifth place team, TTV, By the Way, Cobra Concept, Dr_C-Pants, Desperate Saint, and Lard Alicious. Now, we are going to be heading into our games very soon. Our teams are just now starting their games. I can see that a lot of our teams are not in the same lobbies, but we do have a couple of streamers that are going to be in these lobbies. It seems Team OxyClean, Team TTV, by the way, and Team Cobots are all competing. Now, we do need to remember these teams are the first place team and the third place team, as well as Team TTV, by the way, which is the fifth place team. So a lot of our top level leaderboard teams are going to be competing right up against each other, which is very, very dangerous. If you put a first, second, and third place team all together, it is going to be absurd because these teams are all going to be fighting for that first place position. And a lot of these teams are going to be going for lobby wipes, trying to take out your entire group in order to make sure they can secure that positioning. Another thing you do need to remember, if one of your members does not evac, you will not be getting any points for it. So it seems we have Team Cobots, Team TTV, by the way, and Team OxyClean. Team OxyClean's stream looks like it is kind of glitched, but we are going to head into Team Cobots' stream and go check out how they are doing right now. Looks like they're going to be in second place as of now with about 8 VPs. We're 13 minutes and 30 seconds into the match. Second place with 8 VPs in a PCL lobby. That is going to be pretty good for this team, especially considering this is the first place team coming out of last week. So their main goal is going to be to hold their position and make sure they can get as many points as possible during this. Right now, we are having a couple of technical difficulties real quick just while we get it sorted out. This is exactly why we are waiting before we go live on official Prospectors Discord. But here, we do see what seems like Cobra from Team TTV, by the way, I do assume. And it looks like he is in 5th place with only 2 VPs right now. Not doing too great, to be honest. He does have his 200 credit weapon, which is going to be very helpful for him. They have laser drill, bright caps, and I'm not 100% sure what their other contracts are as of now. But I expect a little bit more out of Team TTV, by the way. And then 5th place. We do have to remember these lobbies are a lot harder than your normal lobby, so we can't be too hard on our players. But second, 2 VPs in 5th place is not going to be very optimal for them. We see right now Cobra is trying to do a Veltite to get his team that little advantage that they do need. He already has his turret and his 200 credit weapons, so they have gotten a decent amount of credits. But right now he just really needs to try and get that VP lead back in their hands. Now, even though a team has 10 VPs already in this game, they are not out of this game whatsoever, just because of how the cycle is played. In the cycle, you can be in very last place and immediately jump up to first very, very easily. Modix, what do you think about this lobby and how these teams are performing so far?
Okay, so as we can see, just with we're having technical difficulties some more, but just with the fact that it looks like Team TTV is not performing their best, they are in 5th place. They really need to pick that up if they want to stay in the top 5. And if you could take it over one last time, I want to go change a few more things. I just have to get things sorted out. I do apologize, guys.
Completely fine. This is just making sure that we have everything completely set up for the rest of the tournament, ironing out all of our difficulties. We do see Team OxyClean playing in this one. We were talking about them before the tournament because they were not actually loaded into many PCL lobbies, but in this one, they are in a PCL lobby with the reigning champions of last week, and they're in 2nd place, holding their own pretty well right now. With 14 VPs, we see Vertically Obese, 2nd place. He has his Kinetic Arbiter. Now, if you have ever seen Vertically Obese play, we see he's taking shots at a player. That player is already at half HP. His team is systematically flanking that player, pushing in from all sides, very low health. Not 100% sure if that is a PCL player, but it looks like that player is going teammates. He's pushing in on these bright caps to pick them up and hopefully get his team even more advantage on these VPs. But as I was saying, Vertically Obese with his Kinetic Arbiter, this is his weapon of choice, and he is absolutely deadly with it in any capacity. Here we see him taking shots at another player. He hits his first shot to make that player have no shield, misses the second. Looks like there might be 2 players there. They're going to be pushing him. He's turned down a surveillance ward. That way his teammates can see where these players are going to be and hopefully strategically take them out.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
So I just got word that that was Team Genesis. They don't have a streamer, so that's why we couldn't actually stream their perspective of that fight. But Team Genesis is definitely in their game, and it looks as if they are in 3rd or 4th place. I can't see for sure, but with them fighting, they can't actually take VPs. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting what Vert chooses to do. Let's go ahead and head back to our lobby screens. We can kind of see what these other teams are doing. So, yeah. Miles, which one do you want to check into?
Totally, Modix. Yeah, so Team Cobots right now in 1st place with a large VP advantage. Last I saw, they had 23 VPs already. They're in 1st place only by 5 or 6 right now because Vertically Obese's team is coming to catch up. But at 23 VPs this early into the game, only halfway through, they're looking at very good. Also, if you look at their spawns, they had a very good spawn for Bright Caps. They have already captured some laser drill, and it seems their team is trying to stick together just to maintain their lead as much as they can. Like I said, this is their first place game right now. Last week they came in first place, so they were able to really capitalize on that. So this week they really just need to try and keep that first place as much as they can.
So,
What do you think about these teams?
so basically, I'm pretty sure that Vert's team is about to go and possibly go grab the laser drill that Minorca and Team Cobots are going to as well. So we might be able to see a fight there. But we did, like mentioned before, like laser drill hasn't been in games as much. But now we have two PCL teams about to fight over it. So that is going to be insane. It looks like Minorca's pulling up a bit later from his teammates. So we will have to wait and see. It looks like they're not pushing in and now they're leaving as they see that Gotcha has claimed the drill. And there's not too much time left on the drill. So I think they're going to be going and possibly trying to go do something else. But if you want to see Team TTV, by the way, is doing power-up facilities. What do you think about that, Carnage?
Man, power facilities is a very interesting contract. Hopefully some of these technical difficulties will have been fixed with our audio. Now, with power facilities is one of those contracts where you have to really focus it if you do want it to be worth. I usually try and do maybe one tier of it just to get credits early game, but doing more than that just kind of seems like a waste of time because you could be doing belt sites or something that is a little bit better. You see he's taking out all these ticks. Not sure if there are some bright caps nearby that he's trying to get or if he's just trying to grind up his credits for his team. How important are credits in this tournament, especially in a competitive scene like this?
In a competitive scene, it is crucial. See, we can hop around to the different streamers' perspectives, and we can see Minorca already has his sniper and his PDW. So that basically means that he's gotten a ton of credits. And then that also means that OxyClean, like if we check over here, we can't see the loadout of Vert, but it does look like he is rocking the scrapper. And then I'm pretty sure we did see that he had his sniper rifle that he definitely rocks. But Miles, I'm going to let you take it over while I try to go take care of this mic situation.
That is all good. We see that these three teams are all definitely competing at their hardest. Team TTV, by the way, still in 5th place. They are kind of just getting started, getting warmed up. It does seem like maybe they have not completely warmed up or played as a team as much as they might have wanted to. Team Cobot's really proving that they can secure their spot as the first place team. They might come in first place if they keep this performance up. They have the chance to come in first place 2 weeks in a row, which would be absolutely crazy for them, securing themselves a spot in the invitationals. Now, as we look on, Vertically Obese is going to be using that kinetic arbiter to try and take out a brute, just finish off all of the monsters that he was fighting. We still see Team Cobots in first place, doing as many contracts as they can, taking out the Cobots as their team name states. Vert is going to be doing some more belt sites, trying to get that lead back, trying to secure their first place spot because Team OxyClean is fighting for this just as hard, if not harder, than Team Cobots, as they are the 3rd place team right now, but do want to prove themselves as the best. Now, I was expecting a lot more PvP coming out from Team OxyClean. Do you think they're playing it correctly by not PvPing as much?
I think that they definitely are. I think it helps a ton when you're not PvPing and you're going for VPs, just because that way you're going for what you get scored on, because as you guys know, we do not take kills into account because you don't get rewarded for them. It's a PvEVP game, and if you do clear a lobby, then sure, you really hurt the other team and you have the possibility of just grinding up some more VPs, but you also waste that time fighting where other teams could be grinding out those VPs, just like we saw with Team Cobots and with Minorca. I mean, they have 33 VPs right now. That is a great lead, but Vert is closing in with 32. So this is actually a crazy game. I didn't realize that it was that close. As we can see, Team TTV, by the way, I mean, they're in 5th place. They're going to try to clear evac, but it's just not their round. I don't know what they did to change it. I mean, they were doing really well last week. I don't know if it's just a bad game, because you do always have a bad game. So Carnage, if you want to try talking to see if we fixed your mic, you can go ahead and take over now.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it seems like Team TTV, by the way, is just not maybe prioritizing the correct contract. I think that maybe they needed more bright caps and more belt sight out of this lobby. What contracts do you think are most important?
Seeing that we have Velticite and Laser Drill, what I would have done is grind up the Velticites and the bright caps to get credits during the beginning of the match, and then right when Laser Drill drops, I would have gone and tried to get some points there. And as we see, Cobra's in a fight and he just went down. I don't know who that was to. It looks as if it was Minorca. So Minorca was just in that fight because they are also there. So they just took out Cobra, and that's pretty bad for Cobra. Wait, did they have anybody that could evac? They have one. They have one person that can evac to claim their points, but if they get 0 this match, that might be pretty bad for them because they're trying to hold on to that top 5 spot. So I don't really know if it's going to be well off for them. As we can see, we have Vert over here. They're in first place now with 35 VPs. So we do have to watch out, but we do have Minorca who's clearing evac right now. So they'll get a total of 5 VPs for that. But Vert's just holding that Laser Drill. Like I said, Laser Drill will be huge if you can prioritize that. They just got even more VPs. They're at 38 VPs, but they have to watch this clock. They're going to have to evac. And I know Minorca's going to give them trouble doing that, because if they can stop Vert from getting out of the ship, then they could definitely win this game and basically put Vert's team of Team OxyClean out of the tournament, because you get one game with 0 VPs and it can definitely hurt you. And I think that's what happened to some of our newer PCL teams earlier in the week 1, is they just didn't know that people would camp evac and not let people escape as easily. So it's going to be interesting to see what Minorca's squad does. They're at 40 VPs. It looks like Vert's team is at 41, so it's just 1 VP difference. And I don't know if they're going to plan on fighting. I don't know if Vert's team's going to send anybody. It looks like Vert's already heading over, though. And so as we can see, let's go back to the middle. We can see that Team TTV, by the way, they have Dr. C Pants just trying to get out so that they can secure the 17 VPs that they already got. That's 1.7 points from VPs. And then I think it's 5 for their position. So they're just trying to clear right now. But I just can't wait to see what Vert decides to do. He's not going to evac for his team. It looks like he's going to stay out, and Minorca's going to hunt him down. But there we go. We just saw Team TTV getting out. Minorca's going to look for some more contracts to complete. They're going to want to get 2 more because that's the lead that Vert has right now. Vert's actually looking into a Ruthless player. So let's go ahead and see how that works. I know that he's right there, so maybe Vert goes for the points. I don't know who that is. I couldn't read the name. But here we go. He's closing on him. He's got that kinetic arbiter that he can do so much damage with. That's the most scary. That's the scariest part with Vert, is that he has a sniper and he can hit his shots. So you definitely, whenever you see Vert coming, you kind of want to back off and just let him do his own thing. But you have so many PvP warriors on Vert's team. And as you guys can see, they're still getting Velticite contracts done. And they only have 2 players, it looks like. They have Ioan and Gotcha. I don't know if Splice just isn't showing up in the teams. Vert just died because of the Vlastics just blowing up his vehicle. I guess it doesn't really matter. That's unlucky there, Vert. He gets his respawn. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Minorca's trying to do to make up that 2 VP, or I guess it's 5 VP difference now. So I think that they're just going to try to evac. A team already evac'd. I don't know if that was, who was that? So that was on Minorca's team. So they actually already secured their 40 points and lost the war, evac'd with Vert. So all the teams have finished up, except we're still waiting to see the final amounts. So let's go ahead and hop on to Vert's side of things just to see I think everybody's going to die here. So this is what our final scoreboard looks like. We have 47 VPs coming from Team OxyClean. And then from Team Cobots, we have 40 VP game. That is so close. It's only 0.7 point difference. But then you have to take into account the position, which might kill the first place team coming into this week. They just have to step it up the next match, and they will do just fine. And then we had Team Genesis, who we actually weren't able to stream, but they were only 1 point behind Team Cobot, so that would have been interesting if we had their side of view. I would have loved to cast them because we had 4 PCL teams, 1 non-PCL team, but the PCL team was only 1 point behind Cobra Concepts team of Team TVV. So you might need to just step back if you are Cobra Concepts, because he is the leader of the team, and think, are we prioritizing the right contracts? We saw them going for contracts such as the power-ups facility, and sometimes this isn't the best to do because, I mean, it's not that rewarding. You want to go for those high VP contracts such as Velocite. You could get tons of Velocites in a single match, and it will help you so much. So guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break because we have to talk about what is happening with the audio quality. So hopefully we will be back right after this video. That's the end of match 1, and we will get you guys right back for match 2. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Modix back with another cycle tips and tricks video. And in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can win every single game in this cycle. So basically, I'm just going to be giving you a few tips and tricks that should help you guys survive more of your games and hopefully get that first place finish in all of your games. So to start out, you want to start prioritizing the contracts. And I'm not going to tell you guys which contracts you should prioritize because we already made a video on this, and that's going to be in the top right hand corner of your screen right now. So be sure to go check that out after you finish listening to all of these other tips. But if you learn to prioritize the contracts that get you the most VP in the cycle, then you're going to start getting more VPs per matches. And the more VPs you can get, the less chance people are going to be able to catch up to you. So basically, just learn to prioritize contracts and get good at completing the contracts faster. This brings us into our next tip. You need to learn how to pick your fights wisely. I highly suggest not fighting other players if you want to go for those high VP games, because for every second that you spend fighting another prospector not getting VPs, unless maybe it's a bounty, but still not that worth it, then you could be working on other contracts and actually gaining VPs because you win by having the most VPs. This isn't a game like Fortnite where it's a battle royale where the person with the most kills might win the match, but instead you want to try to just go for those high VPs so that you can start winning the game. And you need to do this by spending all your time completing contracts. So our third tip that we have is just adapting to each situation. Every single situation is different. Every single game is played differently. You need to be able to read what is happening in the game. So let's say you are down by like 15 VPs and there's only 5 minutes left. There are not a ton of contracts that you can complete in less than 5 minutes to get you 15 VP, because at this point in the game, cycle spike has already happened. That is the only case where you can maybe make up that big of a margin. So what I would then choose is, what am I going for? Do I want to go for the easy evac, get second place, get the materials, and just load into the next match? Or do I want to win this match? If you want to win this match, this is the only time that I would say stop doing contracts and go hunt down that first place player, because you have to take him out in order to get that top spot. So basically do that, but that's the only time I would say to fight. Otherwise, just keep on grinding out those contracts. But again, this is just one situation. There are so many other situations, and this brings us into our next tip. You're going to know these situations the more you play the game. You're going to want to practice as much as possible, guys. I know that if you don't have a ton of time, then you just kind of play whenever. But if you are looking to win every single game in the cycle, you're going to want to practice as much as possible, because that way you're going to be introduced to many different situations where you're going to learn how you should have played it. Like, one thing that I love with doing YouTube is I'm able to go back and analyze my gameplay. because I pretty much record all my games for the most part. Sometimes I don't, but that's not the point. I can basically look and see, well, maybe I should have taken that fight because that person ended up winning. Where if I killed them earlier, they wouldn't have gotten that weapon that they could have came and killed me with. But again, it all just comes with practice. So a new game mode just got released, guys, and that was in a few patches ago. And this just depends if you're watching this video. When the video came out, it was a few patches ago, and this is the introduction of the virtual match. This basically allows you to play a solo match without anyone else in your game. If you guys want to start winning every single game in the cycle, then be sure to hop into this match and understand the map. If you can know the area of the map without having to open up your map in the game, like you're just able to say, okay, I'm in the top northwest corner because it's a ton of forest area, then you can know, well, the first uplink is probably going to be, let's say it's the one at the top, then all I have to do is move right and I'll eventually hit it. But you just want to use the virtual map so you can understand the map. And while you're in here, be sure to learn how to complete the contracts quickly, because like I said in the first tip, if you can complete your contracts faster than anyone else, then you're going to be getting that VP faster, causing you to be first place. So our final tip that we have is work on hitting those headshots, because if you do, you get a weak spot damage multiplier, and this is going to help you so much, especially in some fights. Even though you're not really supposed to take fights, if you can drain the other prospectors' health faster, they're either going to run away or you're going to end up finishing them off, and that's one less player you have to beat to get that win in the cycle. So basically, if you can hit your headshots, especially like let's say you're using the hammer against AIs, if you can get headshots, it's basically 2 shots for every single enemy, and you're basically going to kill them. And that's how you complete contracts faster. You kill all the mobs and then you complete the contracts. So it just really helps getting your aim up. And what I would suggest is going and buying an aim trainer. There are a ton of free ones, so it's not really buying, just getting an aim trainer, and you can work on your aim from there. But guys, that is all of the tips. I hope you guys did enjoy. If this video did help you guys out, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe with notifications on, because we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, guys. That's going to be a crazy milestone when we hit it, and I just can't wait. We're coming up pretty close as a recording. We need 94 more people to watch this, so if you guys aren't already subscribed, be sure to do that. Hit those notifications so that you never miss an upload. But guys, that's going to be all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Modix back with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be going over how you guys can reach tier 100 in the Fortuna Pass of this cycle, and how you guys can do it as quickly as possible, because as many people...
And we are now finally back. We have tried to resolve all of the issues that we did have, and we are now going into our game 2 of the next round. It seems like our audio has been fixed, so I can actually be able to talk to all of you. Right now, we are just figuring out what lobbies all of these teams are in. That way, we can effectively get the game that has the most streamers that are in it. We do give the teams a 5-minute break in between their games. That way they can get whatever they need to get done. They can talk game plans. They can take a little break, do whatever they actually need to do. Now, I do not believe we have the official scores from last game, but I did see some results floating around, and it looks like Team Cobots did very well. Team OxyClean did very well. And we had one other team that I was not expecting to do as good as they did. Let me go find them very quickly. That way I can let you guys know. But it looks like they might be in first place right now. Team North Shore Gaming. Again, this is not confirmed, but North Shore Gaming seems like they had the most VP total throughout the game. But I'm not 100% sure where exactly how many PCL teams they had in their lobby and how many non-PCL teams that there was. Now, Team North Shore Gaming, that is going to be Food, Slapscope, Crisis Shot, and King Quasi. Now, this team did come in second place last week, so obviously they are a team that we do expect to contend this week, but coming out with a very strong performance. Again, these top 3 teams have really been dominating over the course of this tournament. Right now, we are in week 2, like I have explained before. Week 1, 2, and 3 are going to be going down in the next couple weeks, and then we will have the Invitational But right now, we have these top 3 teams that are really just destroying absolutely everybody that they can. Cobots, North Shore Gaming, and then Team OxyClean. Now, we have the official results from round 1, and actually an insane upset happening here, coming in live right now. North Shore Gaming in first place with 15.7 score. Team Africa in second place with 15.6, and then Team Yarg in third place with 14.7. Team OxyClean and Team Cobots are at 11.7 and 11, down in what looks to be 5th and 6th place. Not doing too well just because of those non-PCL teams. But Team Africa, a new team coming in and showing they have what it takes to compete in the big leagues. Africa was not penalized for being empty, so their lobby might actually be brought down just a little bit. But North Shore Gaming, that is their official score. First place at 15.7 score. Now, North Shore Gaming, like I said last week, they ended up coming in second place by only about 1.5 points total. So them coming out with such a strong performance in round 1 is going to be absolutely great for them, especially going into the invitationals, as all of these scores are rolling scores. Not every single week matters if you get that first place spot, but it's over time. So you need to keep coming back and consistently show that you can perform at a high level with all of these teams. Another team that I see doing very well in third place is Team Yarg. Now, Team Yarg ended up coming in 6th place last week. Team Yarg came in 6th place with 26 total points, whereas this week they are already at 14.7. So Team Yarg has already gotten over half of what they got last week in only one game. A very impressive performance coming out from them, also trying to prove they have what it takes to get one of these invitational spots. Only the top 5 teams overall from all 3 weeks will be competing for this invitational spot. Now, Team North Shore Gaming, again, coming in second place, and then if they can manage to keep their lead up and end up coming in first place for this tournament, they are going to be doing very, very good. Now, hopping into the games, Modix, what teams do we have in this lobby?
So we actually have a full lobby this match. So we have Vert's team, we have Menorca's team, that's Team OxyClean, and Team Cobots. We have Team Yarg, as you guys are going to see in the middle. And then we also had Team Eliminators in the match, but they are not streaming, or they're streaming another game. I don't really know how that's working right now. And then we also have, looks like Team Console OP, who is not live right now. So we couldn't bring you guys those point of views, but we do still are seeing Menorca at the top right and Vert at the top left. Hopefully it was a bit sooner and we got into games a bit quicker. We're going to get faster as this process keeps on going on. But let's just go ahead and hop in to see what our first place team of the last match is doing.
So right here, this is Team Cobots. They did end up winning their last match. They're in first place with 6 points right now. Again, Team Cobots is Menorca, Chazon, H, and Jigglebun.ttv. We see right now he's looking at his leaderboard, just checking to make sure they're still in first. They're only in first by 1 point right now. We have 2 other teams with 5 VPs, so this lead can change within an instant. Another thing that I'm noticing is that their teammates are pinging a lot around the map, just different objectives and different points that they're obviously talking about right now. I see they're using the in-game button in order to ping what they're looking at, because we don't have a compass or anything of the sort in the game. And they're also sticking all together, which is a very interesting strategy to use, especially if they're trying to go for these first place positions. Now, sticking together, is that really the thing that they need to use? We actually have Vertically Obese with his Kinetic Arbiter trying to fight off a team. That player is obviously very low, but Vert is actually going to play this very, very smart and not try and push the player, but just take the credits. This is very unlike from what I've seen Vert do in the past, where he pushes players and just tries to kill them no matter what. Why do you think Vert is playing so much more passive than he usually does?
I think that they played the last match so well that they weren't PvPing. They were more going for VPs and contracts to complete, and they are split up, it looks like right now, unlike Menorca's team. and maybe that other player could have led Vert to his full team, and you probably don't want to take a 1v4. I know Vert could probably do it in a pub match, but this isn't your average match of the cycle, and he actually has somebody right here. He lands his shot. This is so scary whenever Vert has his kinetic arbiter. How does he even have it with basically only 7 minutes played? I don't understand. Maybe his teammates dropped credits for him, but getting 500 credits that quickly is going to serve as an advantage in any PvP fight you take at the beginning of the match. And it actually looks like we also have Minorca fighting in the top right-hand corner. So we have so many people that are fighting, and Minorca is actually going to push, unlike Vert did. So let's see if Minorca can actually finish things off. And that looks like Twitch somebody. I'm going to try to check and see. It's one of our people not streaming. It looks like Twitch Lemony Fart. So that is Team Eliminators. So let's just see what happens.
We do see that Minorca is pushing, and he actually sprays this player down to about no shield left. He sprays another one down to no shield. That player's getting focused. He actually gets knocked right now, going to force them to use that emergency triage. Minorca going to use his directional warp, actually gets sprayed down half health. He's trying to spray back. His teammates need to organize here and finish off this fight. One of his teammates is going to go down right now. So from what we have seen, it looks like one player from each team has gotten knocked. We're not sure exactly how many players are in this fight, but it seems the other team has actually backed off some. Something interesting I just saw, Minorca never actually used his orbital barrage that he had.
Maybe he's just saving it. I mean, we don't know how Minorca is communicating with his teammates, so he could have just gotten information from his teammates. They were leaving, and they're actually making somebody triage right now, and his teammate goes back down. Let's see if they can get the revive again, and looks like Minorca is going to stick it. I wouldn't have two players reviving there. That's a bit of a communication error. Minorca is just sliding past an opponent, trying to get away to power up the facility. Who is that?
He knocks him down to half health. Minorca has to get out of there. This gives the other team a very, very good advantage here, because now it's a 3v4 as far as we do know. Minorca needs to get back. His teammate is about to get knocked. Also, two of his teammates look to be 1-star Ruthlesses, which are going to give these players an extra VP every time that they kill them, which is going to be very good. They actually end up knocking that player, going to finish him. Makes that player triage. They are still getting pushed by more of this team. This is an absolutely crazy fight going on. I can't tell which PCL team this exactly is.
It's
Vert. We also do see Vert is coming in here and trying to snipe them and pick them off with the kinetic arbiter. He sees Jigglebun, it looks like. Jigglebun is ruthless. His team is going to try and converge on him, and we know how deadly this team Vert can be just with their communication skills alone. This is absolutely crazy.
I think this is the first time we've had a team fight between two PCL teams and able to switch back and forth. Looks like Vert's team might be backing off a bit, maybe coming back in. I would love to see them just throw shots at each other, just spray them down and see whose aim is better. Looks like Minorca might be trying to push Vert. I'm not quite sure, but it looks like we are probably settling down and they're not going to fight as much. And then they do have uplink, so we can definitely see some claiming of the uplink by Vert and Team OxyClean. So maybe we'll have another fight around this because Team Cobots is right nearby.
Yeah, this early into the game, seeing a fight coming out of these teams, some of their players being forced to triage, is obviously a very distressing thing for these teams, because you do need that one player to evac in order for your game to even count. So if you don't even have a player that can actually play to their fullest potential, that could be very, very bad. Now, something that I have noticed, both of these teams have been playing a lot more passive than I have seen in the past. Vert is taking some shots. I can't tell if that is another player off in the distance that he's trying to pick off here. He has his auto pistol out. Looks like his team is converted to a Veltasite possibly.
They're fighting.
Yeah, so Vert is taking his kinetic arbiter, trying to take some shots at this team, getting shot at. He might be pushing it a little too far here, but they do want this Veltasite. They're really pushing in for these contracts. I think they're using their power and just the fact that everyone knows there's such a PvP heavy team. Vert's actually one more HP. Vert goes down. Vert is down. He is going to try and hide. Maybe his teammates will come and revive him. They are still getting points for uplink and whatnot. If I were the other team, I would try and push her, but it looks like Gotcha is going to get the revive off on Vert. His other teammates seem to be doing good, but Vert did take a lot of that damage there. They really need to be careful here. They do not want to overextend.
I mean, they're aiming down Vert. They want to get him out and make him use his triage, because if you kill Vert once, you only have to do it one more time. It's like you just got a huge win. Yes, we killed Vertically Obese. Oh, but he got our triage off. So it looks like they place a ward so that they know where their team
We actually have a player on him.
Oh.
That is another player on him gets knocked. One of Vert's teammates got knocked. We have an entire team fight here down to a 3v3. One of Vert's teammates at half HP right now. Vert is going to back off, trying to use his kinetic arbiter. They do have a surveillance ward down right now so that they're able to see where these players are. But Vert is going to back off and maybe let his teammate die here. Gotcha is the one that is down. I'm not sure if he's safe.
So I just want to point out that there is a cycle spike going on while two PCL teams are fighting. So Menorca is actually in this cycle spike and his team is getting a ton of points. They want to get that lead. And it's also Team Yarg in there as well. As you guys can see, they're both claiming. But Vert's lacking of the VPs. Like, he's not able to get over because they were busy fighting. They are close, so they might be able to pick up a few crystals. And it looks like Team Yarg is actually getting shot at by Team Cobots. And I don't know who the fourth player is on Team Cobots, but it looks like it is one of their subs. So they are missing a player, so I don't know how that affects their gameplay. But it just looks like it's the battle of the cycle spikes for first place. Team Yarg is in first, and Team Cobots is in second. And that's because they weren't fighting. They were getting those VPs while Team OxyClean, and I'm pretty sure it might have been Team Console who were actually
do see
fighting.
they're in a fight right now. Looks like Menorca is going to be pushing this player with his team in the cycle spike, bringing them down to a fourth of the health. They place a ward down. They actually get knocked. Also remember, these are all PCL teams, so every time one of these teams gets knocked, that is a disadvantage to one of these other teams they're fighting against. Now, it looks like they're going to back off of this fight. They're satisfied with their one knock here. They're actually taking some damage here. Menorca down to half HP, trying to get out, uses his stim boost, running away as fast as he possibly can. They got a good amount of credits and VP from that cycle spike, bringing them to second place. Team Yarg, actually, we just saw it. One of their players is completely eliminated now, but they have that first place positioning. They're down to only 3 players, though, so they do need to make sure they play this in the best way possible. Is power-up facilities the way to go here?
I don't know. You just lost one of your players. I would be thinking, we can't get VPs like when another team fights for us, so why are you doing power-ups? Like, I feel like you would want to do as many Velta sites as possible because they're so close to that 4th tier that I would stick to all Velta sites. Just stick together, get as many as possible. Don't go for the 1K, of course, because teams are going to converge around you and you're probably going to get shot at. But I don't know why they're doing power-up. I don't know why we see so many PCL teams going for power-up. Maybe it's that they think that things aren't worth it, but I'm just not sure.
I think one of the things about it is the fact that power-up is not viewed as one of the best contracts that you can possibly do, which makes teams want to do it just so that it's kind of one of those more safe contracts for them to do to get some safe points. Now, overall, they are still in first place, so really whatever they do, they're going to be okay. And this is a full PCL lobby, so they aren't going to get any point deductions. And Team Yarg is actually in 3rd place overall right now, so this game could be very good for them if they do get evac'd. Right now, we see another team doing power-ups. Menorca for Team Cobots, I do believe, is also doing power-up facility for only 1 VP and 25 credits. That is honestly kind of confusing to me. I feel like they could be using their time in a much more efficient manner right now.
Oh, they're in a fight, though. So, I mean, let's see who that is. It looks like that's Vert. They're fighting Vert.
Vertically Obese, down to like no health.
He
gets knocked right now. They're still spraying at some of his other teammates. Vert is in a very bad position here. Vertically Obese and Team OxyClean are actually in 4th place. This is not going to be a good game for them. We see they are going to finish off Vert. He does still have his triage, so he is going to be able to triage out of there. But that is very not good for Team OxyClean here. If I were them, I would get out of there as soon as they can, now that they're at a player disadvantage as well.
Because we did see Gotcha, actually, I'm pretty sure he lost his triage in that first fight that they're taking. So we're seeing them be more PvP heavy in this round. So why do you think that that's the case, Carnage?
You know, I think that they really ended up getting back with their lead. They started out with a pretty decent lead, started playing very well, but now they're in 4th place. So I think basically what had happened, they were going for PvE as much as they could, trying to finish as many contracts as possible, but then some players started PvPing them, so they kind of got behind in their lead, and now they're just trying to catch up by doing as much PvP as they can, try to take out some of these higher level teams. And we also already have some teams setting up at the evac zone right now to try and get their 5 VPs. This is the first place team only with 3 players left, but if they can get out, this is going to be a very good game for Team Yarg here.
They're in first place too. They're leading by 9 VPs. I don't know if I would get here this early. Maybe like do bright caps as they're doing right now. Jigglebun just capped uplink, so the people will be getting points still. And Jigglebun is part of, I'm trying to look, it's Menorca's team that did cap uplink. But evac arrives in 45 seconds, so they'll get 5 VPs if nobody else comes to try to contest that. But Menorca looks like they're probably going to get those uplink points, which I would be scared if I were Team Yarg. So, I mean, they definitely have to be careful. I saw them contemplating actually going down and trying to take the uplink back, but they definitely want to get those evac points, and they just placed a surveillance ward. So what do you feel about like the best contracts or the best abilities that you should be running in a PCL match? We've seen some of Menorca's, we've seen Vert's, and then now we're seeing Team Yarg's. So what do you have to say about that, Carnage?
Honestly, I think the fact that they are using surveillance wards is going to be very good for them, especially since this is a PCL game. They're going to be able to know whenever anyone is pushing them, and with how coordinated these teams are, that is very, very important. Something else I'd like to point out, they might possibly get all 5 points for this, but if we look over, we see that Menorca is actually pushing with his entire team. Snipers ready to go, looking for any kills they can get, looking for any monsters they can end up getting.
Oh,
we have all of them pushing. He sees a player. All 3 of them are converging on this player, trying to push as much as they can. There's 2 of them, both down to hardly any health left. Team Menorca with some great communication here, trying to push these players and get them down. They
what
actually
a snipe!
One of them.
What a snipe!
Menorca with the absolutely insane hit on this player to knock him. Now, they are still down by what looks to be almost 15 VP now. That is going to be very bad for them in the long run. Also, if we do look, Team Yarg right now has a player that is still going to be at evac, waiting to just get out and secure their place. Also, we see Team OxyClean with Vertically Obese. They're in 4th place with only 18 VPs. This is not as good of a performance as we saw from their first game. They honestly are probably going to end up finishing 4th place. Not great for Team OxyClean, but they can still come back in their next couple games. It is not over just because they perform not as great in this game.
So here we can see Team Yarg is still going for those Veltosite minerals. Sadly, we can't see their progress on the left side of the screen because Wadu Heckington actually got foamed, and so they only have 2 players left. There's only 1 minute and 23 seconds. And it looks like his teammate's in a fight. I don't know who that is. Oh, Menorca had to use his triage. So they were just in a fight. There's just so many teams going for PvP right now. So I'm just going to watch Team Yarg and how they handle this. They're just trying to run away.
I would like to point out Wadu Heckington did not actually get down. He actually evac'd, so the Team Yarg has secured their 1st place position. Also, it does seem like the 2nd place team is coming back. It's only a 10-point game now, which is honestly very impressive from some of these teams. Team Yarg cannot get too complacent with these games, but I think at this point they're just going to try and stay out, maybe get an extra couple of VPs where they can. This 2nd place team is really doing all that they can to try and come back here, though. I believe that is Team Console OP that is really just coming back and trying to just outperform as much as they possibly can.
This is their first week competing in the tournament, so I'm glad to see new players being able to come into this competitive environment and play at a high level because they are ahead of the team that won last week. And so that's kind of crazy. I mean, you come in, it's a new week, you have to prove your name so that people are actually scared. Here, Menorca is going to take some shots. It looks like that other player's low, but Menorca's low too, and he does not have his recall, so he's going to end up getting foamed. But they already did secure their point. As we can see, they got 2 players out. They have FPS Aries and Chayak. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but it looks like every single PCL team managed to evac, so we didn't have a single team that didn't get 0 points. So that is awesome. I mean, we're glad that nobody just got slaughtered. That's awesome to see. But it looks like we're coming in with Team Yarg coming in 1st place with 39 VPs. Then we have Team Console OP with 32 VPs in 2nd. And then in third, we have Team Cobots with 28 VPs, as you guys can see. In fourth place, we have Team OxyClean, led by Vertically Obese with 22 VPs. And then in last place, we had Team Eliminators with 18 stars. So, I mean, what do you have to say about that match, Carnage?
Honestly, that was an absolutely insane match. That was so much fun to watch, so much fun to cast. I thought that the PvP in that match was really going to be the death of some of these teams, and who knows, it might prove to be. I mean, honestly, the fights there, it was so much fun to see these pro players just all communicating so well, taking out their opponents very strategically, only taking fights when they need to. Something that I've seen kind of shift throughout the PCL, and it seems like a lot of these teams are not just PvPing just for the fun of it. It seems like they're really going for PvP that is going to help them. And whenever it's over these very high tier objectives, such as uplink, or a lot of these teams are fighting over power-ups and Velticites, and they really want them, it is absolutely crazy to see just the communication overall, the teams, all the aim, Vertically Obese with his kinetic arbiter, all of it just was very, very fun to watch.
So taking a look at Team Yarg's score sheet, they only got 3 points from uplink, and it looks like VertStream actually just went down, so I don't really know what happened there, but they have 3 for uplink, and then they had 10 for Velticite. So you can see that they're really prioritizing those passive contracts, but then they were also one of the only teams to be in that cycle spike. And I think that's what led to their success, is while other teams were fighting, like Team OxyClean, who I felt like went a bit too heavy on the PvP aspect of the game because you weren't able to get the VPs. So Team Yarg was basically able to just take a step back, say, we don't need to PvP that much. Let's go for the passive kind of contracts so that hopefully we don't have to get into PvP fights and we can just overall get a high VP score to lead our lobby. So let's go ahead and just hop into our home section and just talk about what we see for the last round. Like, what do we think's gonna happen, Carnage?
So honestly, after all of this action that has been happening throughout round 1 and 2, my predictions have all been thrown completely out the window. I have absolutely no idea what is going to be going on in these next couple games. I want to go over the scores from last round real quick one more time, because our last scores were somewhat outdated. There's a slight change, slight update. Right now, we have Team North Shore Gaming. They are leading by over 4 points in the PCL. Now, 4 points, that's equivalent to about 40 VPs. So Team North Shore Gaming is doing very well for themselves, trying to secure that spot. And then Yarg, Team OxyClean, and Team Africa are all about tied for second place. So Team Yarg finishing first there, that's going to boost them a lot. I'll be impressed to see if North Shore finished first again. Honestly, with all of these teams competing at such a high level, it's just very impressive to see, especially the consistency that some of these teams have to compete at such a high level just so consistently. It is absolutely crazy and really reflects on how much they have been training for this and how much they've been just working on their communication and overall skills in the cycle.
So North Shore actually came in third place, it looks like. So they were in a full PCL lobby as well, and they were placed with team, let me check real quick. So they had Team TTV, by the way, Foods team, which is Team North Shore. They had Syndron's team, and then they also had one of our newer teams coming in, and that's Team Dumpster Fire, led by Captain Redbeard TTV. So hopefully we can get a chance to look at their gameplay. And then in that, they came in fourth. And then in fifth place from that lobby, we had Holy Jordan's team, and that is Team Stone Fatu. So I can't wait to see which teams are paired up with which teams, because I think that's going to basically lead to who gets the best score, because you guys want to get the highest VPs in each lobby. And I think if you come in first all 3 games, you basically secure one of your top 5 spots. For that week alone, it does depend on how you do in previous weeks, but if you can secure those top place spots, they're definitely going to help you out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we have been saying this entire tournament, it is a weekly thing. We have 3 weeks to see how these teams perform. So it is very important for these teams to try and be as consistent as possible. I really do enjoy seeing these teams compete, especially over this 3 week period, because we are able to see the teams that are actually putting in the work to have fun and compete at such a high level. Now, again, with the 3 week system, as I have been saying, I think that it shows the consistency just that much more. Over the course of 3 weeks, if a team gets first every single time and then wins the invitational, there's no doubt that that team is just a great overall team. Whereas if it is only over the course of 1 week, there is so much RNG that could be possible that 1 week really just doesn't show the overall scope of exactly how the games have been going. For instance, Vertically Obese's team, Team OxyClean, ended up not even finishing in the top 3 that game, and they didn't even break 20 VPs. This is very unlike their team, but there are so many different factors that can play into that. There are players that can be pushing you whenever they are just trying to target you so that you cannot win for strategic reasons. There are fights that you have to take that end up being devastating to your team. There are just so many factors that can be devastating to a lot of these teams, and I'm just really excited to see the scores after this round.
So we are going to be clearing the lobby in 3 minutes. So while we wait, I think we are going to just take a quick ad break so that we can just get some sips of water. And you guys need to go grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, and be sure to come back in less than 3 minutes so that you guys can watch how the final match of this week's weekly tournament plays out.
Yeah, round 3 coming up very soon for you guys. Stay tuned. Go get yourself a snack. We will see you all then.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Modix back with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be going over how you guys can reach tier 100 in the Fortuna Pass of this cycle and how you guys can do it as quickly as possible, because as many people know, and you can see right here, there is a time limit to this season 1 Fortuna Pass. You only have 32 days, 23 hours, and 55 minutes as of right now. I'm recording it. So guys, be sure that you are trying to get this done because you do have time. It doesn't matter if you're just now starting the game right now. You guys will be able to get the max level Fortuna Pass if you guys follow the tips that I'm going to be giving you guys. But guys, this video is going to be broken into 2 parts. The first part, we're going to be talking about what you guys need to do in order to get to that max Fortuna Pass level. And then in the second part, we're going to have 5 tips for you guys how to get there quicker than anyone else. So let's go ahead and get into what you have to do. So in order to get the max tier of the Fortuna Pass and get this amazing weapon skin and actual player skin and even a nice banner, then you guys are gonna want to gain 20,000 total XP. This is 100 levels of 200 XP for each level. It does not rank up as you go to the higher levels. It's always 200 XP per level. And I really like that about it because it's really consistent and we know exactly how much XP we have to get. So the first thing we're going to do is go over and check out these seasonal challenges, because basically they reward you for just playing the game. As you guys can see, I've done a ton of my challenges. We're 76% done with them. I'm not going to get 100% though, and very many players will not, because they have some crazy challenges such as get 100 VPs in a single match of squads. And right now at the current state of that game, it's very hard to do. So don't worry if you're not completing all of these, because it's made so that you don't have to do all your seasonal challenges as long as you're doing some of the daily and weekly challenges in order to get that max Fortuna Pass. And guys, I already did all the math, and so if you guys do complete all the seasonal challenges, you guys will be getting 10,900 XP. This is 54.5 tiers. So you basically complete half of the Fortuna Pass by just completing the seasonal challenges. And let's just say you unlock 50 just because of those harder challenges that you might not be able to complete, or you don't want to go through actually completing. That's fine, because now we can move on to the daily and weekly challenges. So in order for you guys to get max Fortuna Pass, both of these challenges will have to give you around 9,100 XP in order to reach the remaining 45.5 tiers. But guys, now we're going to talk about these daily challenges. So if you complete your daily challenges for the remaining 32 days and 23 hours, so basically those are the new daily challenges, you guys will be able to get a total of 9,900 XP, and this is saying that we're doing 300 XP for completing all your daily challenges in one day, because that's what we're going off of here. But I have seen them higher and lower, so it should even themselves out, and 300 is right around the average that I've seen. So that's basically gonna give you 9,900 XP.
And we are about to be loading in to game 3 of our week 2 qualifiers. This is going to be an absolutely insane game. So much on the line here. A lot of teams trying to prove what they can do. We actually have the scores right now as they stand coming in. We have Team North Shore Gaming in first place. We have in second place Team Yarg. And then in third place, Team Africa. I would like to point out Team OxyClean is still in 5th place, not too far behind, even though they just had a very not great game for themselves. But a brand new team, it does seem, Team Yarg, consisting of the players Wadu Heckington, Arl Sohn, Pipe Phipps, and Big Lips McGee. I'm sorry if I butchered any of those names, but it is very impressive to see some of these newer players coming in and ending up in 2nd place after round 2. That is absolutely insane to see. I am very excited to see how round 3 ends up playing out. This is going to be a very action-packed round. We are going to be casting Team Cobots again. They are in 6th place right now, it looks like, which could lead to some bad placement for them. But we do have to remember, last week they were the 1st place team, and really what matters is the overall scores. Now, if we look at our scoreboard, something that I did notice, Team Africa has gotten a total of 114 VPs throughout the tournament, but they're only in 3rd place. I believe what could be happening here is they're ending up queuing into some non-PCL lobbies, whether that's on purpose or on accident, I'm not sure, but that is honestly hurting them so much just because they're not able to get into those lobbies. I'm going to assume just the servers are not favoring them as much as they would like, but they have still been trying to outperform it. Another team that last week was not even a part of the tournament. They had a total of 0 scored last week. This week coming in 3rd place. A lot of these more OG teams that have been playing for a while getting a run for their money. And now we have some of the classic contenders here. Team Cobots, Team Yarg, and Team TTV. By the way, how do you see this match going, Wadix?
Well, I just want to point out one thing. This is a full PCL lobby. We also had Team Genesis and Team Console OP back in this match, but they aren't streaming it, so we weren't able to actually give you guys this gameplay. And we're not trying to just put Team Cobots in at all times. We told all the players and streamers at the beginning of the tournament that if they wanted to be casted, they needed to send us a screenshot, and we've just been getting them from Minorca, and he's the only one. So that is why they'll always be there. I just want to point that out. But honestly, I would like to see Team Cobots just come out here and prove their dominance. They've been doing it in every single match, but I want to point out every single match they've been in, it's been so close and it's been so fun to cast. So I cannot wait. We can hop over into the middle with Team Yarg. They're getting shot out by enemy prospectors, but they are attempting to do the 1,000 mineral. And this is going to give you a huge VP lead, but also a huge credit lead if you can complete it. Ton of mobs are building up on that mineral. So Carnage, what are your tips for actually completing Veltacite minerals? Because I know that you are super good at actually just being able to solo those 1K crystals.
Well, I do appreciate that. One of the things that I really focus on when doing those crystals is going to be taking out the actual small enemies. I just noticed something. Team Yarg only has 2 players alive right now. Actually, that is a glitch in the cycle. On the left side, it does show, but one of their players is getting knocked. They're getting pushed by a team. We'll talk about how to win in Veltacite, but they're actually getting a lot of damage taken. One of their players just had to triage. They need to get out of here. We see he's buying his directional warp right now. I believe this is Wadu Heckington trying to get out of here. Right now, Team Yarg is in 2nd place. If they can secure 2nd place this week and then perform well again next week, they're going to be completely fine. One of the main things they need to do is just evac this week. Like evac in this game right here. They just need to get decent placement and evac so they can secure their spot. We see they're trying to take this PvP a little bit. They're only in 3rd place right now. How can they play this to effectively win this game?
I don't know, but I think that might be Team TTV, by the way. So they might be pushing PvP, which I don't really recommend. I mean, you're in the top 5. You need to just keep on doing what you've been doing. And what they did last match was not go for PvP. Vert was doing that, and they placed higher than Vert's team. And I don't think that there's a coincidence with that. But as we hop into the top left-hand corner of our screen, we can see that Team TTV, by the way, is taking the right mindset to these lobbies. They're going for the passive contracts. They had a not so great game as the first match, but I think that they've been able to step back and kind of say, what do we need to do? We need to go for those passive contracts. So as you guys can see right now, they have some Zeals they're carrying with them, and then they're also going for that Ledium. I'm really happy to see that they only went for one power-up station right now. I think that they might have learned, but I would like to see them actually do some more Veltacite. So
yeah, something that I'm noticing here, Team TTV, by the way, is actually in 8th place right now after doing all of these, passive contracts and stuff. And I think that might be because they are sticking together as 4 people, all as one unit. We actually see, this seems like Team Yar getting in a PvP fight right now. That player down to no shield. Seems like everyone is going to be backing off, just kind of letting the fight situate, letting it all die down. No one wants to lose in this final round, as it is so important to even make sure that you evac. So losing your triage this early, only 5 minutes into the game, could be devastating.
That's
to
Team
these teams.
Cobots too, which I'm really surprised about, because if anything about these past 2 games have told us, Team Cobots and Team Yarg have not been going for PvP, but it looks like they're fighting over 3 Ledium refiners. I don't know how much this is worth, but
I think that Team Cobots is actually playing this beautifully. Right now, Team Cobots is in 6th place overall, and Team Yarg is in 2nd place. So if Team Cobots can effectively eliminate all of Team Yarg's players, Team Cobots is going to be able to boost themselves up even that much more. We actually see Minorca actually is going to be PvP fighting right now. It seems like an entire team pushing this player, brought him down to half health. Now it's going to be backing off a little bit. Entire squad sticking together. If we look at the bottom left, we can see the healths. One of Minorca's teammates is going to be down to pretty low health. Minorca getting hit a little bit into this little triage sphere right here. 2 of his teammates down to very low health. This fight is not looking too good for Minorca's team. They need to regroup and somehow pull this out. His teammates are just taking way too much damage right now. He's taking a lot of damage. He's down to half health. He's running away.
He has to get away. They cannot be spending this much time fighting. Oh, but he's spraying somebody down, and there we go. He already... Oh, no. He directional warp, but they finally knock a player. So now that you have the numbers advantage, I think you need to take a step back, regen all your health. But look at this. In the bottom left-hand corner, his teammate just got knocked, and another teammate's going down. Jigglebun's getting low. Minorca is doing the right thing here, just leaving. They have to use their triage. 2 of his teammates went down. I think Jigglebun's still up. Jigglebun's escaping. He's escaping, but you lose 2 of those triages. How can you change the way you play after you do that? It's up to their team. What I would do is personally just try to not PvP as much, but you did say that they're the 6th place team, and they are fighting Team Yarg, so they might want those points. But what do you have to say about it, Carnage?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I disagree with you thinking that they should PvP less. Honestly, I think they need to PvP more. That fight, it seemed like they played kind of passive. They weren't really rushing the team. The other team was kind of able to lead that fight to them. And, the other team really played it well. I believe it was Team Yarg. They strategically took out and focused down one player at a time. Very good by them. I'm more surprised that Team Yarg is taking these fights, considering they're the 2nd place team in the entire tournament right now. They do not need to be fighting the 6th place team.
So are you saying that like a team that is in 6th place and they want to be in that top 5, they shouldn't go for the VPs if that's the way that the tournament scored?
Well, I think that they do still need to be going for VPs, but actually right now we do see that Team Yarg and Wadu Heckington is actually in the middle of a fight. They knock this player. What player is that?
I can't read that.
I wasn't able to either. They decimated that player way too quickly, but had to use the triage there.
It was one of our non-streamers. But go ahead.
As I was saying, basically, I think that they should still be going for the VPs, but if Team Cobots is able to eliminate one of the automatically boost them up in the leaderboard. So it's kind of a balance that they need to find. I think they need to honestly split up at this point and just 2 of them go for VPs, go for any belt sites, all of that sort of stuff. And then the other 2 go and try and strategically take out some of their opponents.
So, as some of you guys might have known, if you watched last week's stream, we were actually able to interview a few of the teams and actually talk about what their mentality was going into the first week. And one of the biggest answers that we got from teams was that they were going to try to split up into groups of 2 and do exactly what Carnage just said. One group go for PvP and one group go for VPs. And so I guess their mentality might have changed based on where they ranked on the leaderboards, because, I mean, if you got 10th place last week, you're probably not going to want to do the same thing again. And as we can see here, we have a Voltic Brute being purchased on Team Yarg, so they definitely are getting credits. They're getting SMGs to hopefully spray down people, but they do have a Cycle Spike, and they just moved into 3rd place. But it looks like Vert's team, not Vert's team, Team TTV, by the way, is still in 5th place, so I don't know what they need to do, but I think they need to get any mobility they can to get to Cycle Spike as quickly as possible to make up those lost VPs early on in this match.
Yeah, Cycle Spike is a possible 20 VPs alone if you get all of your players in there and try and collect all of those points, all of those different spikes. So personally, if I were them, I would be buying vehicles. I would be hauling it, all my players, over to Cycle Spike as soon as I can. They actually did just move up into 4th place, and we see what seems to be Wadu Heckington looking at some enemies. His teammates are not with him. He's kind of alone here. Maybe got a teammate or two kind of with him a little bit. He is now the 4th place team with only 11 VPs. I'm not sure if they should be going for PvP at this point. I feel like this game is kind of too close to be going for PvP. I mean, the VP difference between 1st and 5th place, I believe, is only 5 VPs. You can do that in a couple of Weltsite or in this Cycle Spike. This Cycle Spike is going to decide so much for this game.
And one thing that these teams could choose to do, especially Team Cobots, if you did say suggest PvP, and what are they doing right now? They're PvPing, but the Cycle Spike is such a dangerous place to fight, but it can also be the most rewarding, and it can change so many games. So it looks like Team Yarg and Team Cobots are going at it right now. So I want to see who gets the most contracts off of the Cycle Spike and who can actually foam one of their players, because both teams have lost triages with certain teams. And I think Team Cobots is in trouble here. Their player that lost a triage before is basically about to get knocked. But here we can see Menorca, one of the best solo players, being able to just carry his teammate through these PvP fights and protecting his down player there, and the player that is actually trying to revive him so that he does not get full foamed.
We also have Team Yarg over here. They are PvPing as well. One of their players is actually fully out of the game, so they're down to only 3 players playing. All of these teams know that the Cycle Spike is so important. Team Yarg has gone from, I believe, what was 4th place into 2nd within seconds just because of this Cycle Spike. We also have Cobra Concept trying to PvP. We have a lot of these different teams just going for as much action as they can. I saw a lot of things happening in the Cycle Spike, and Menorca is actually getting shot at right now. One of his teammates downed. Looks like Cage is also at half HP. In this Cycle Spike, this is very dangerous. That teammate might actually die here.
FPS Aries needs to be careful. He got full foamed.
FPS Aries is fully foamed. Cage is also downed right now.
He doesn't have his triage. Jigglebun's about to go down. He has to stick the revive here. There we go. So he gets back up. Jigglebun's low. Here we go. We have a Ruthless player. There's 2 players here. It's going to be a 2v2, but his teammate check is very low in HP, so I think they need to back up, regroup. They're in 5th place. They need to start to worry because the top team has 23 VPs, 2nd place 20, 3rd place 17, and they only have 9. As we can see over here, we have Cobra Concepts team in 1st place. So I know that we were giving them a hard time at the beginning for maybe not doing the right things, but they made it up. They realized that they were in trouble, and they made sure to get that VPs back up. And it looks like they might be hunting down another Zeal to possibly get some more passive contracts, because it looks like they might be fighting. I'm not sure though, because Menorca is close to them. I don't know if he's going to try to push a fight though.
So Team TTV, by the way, with Cobra, did exactly what they needed to do here. They were the 5th place team, and within 1 Cycle Spike are now in 1st place, controlling this game. They really need to just capitalize on this and try and keep on going. Do remember, this is the very last match, so they need to do everything they can to get as many points as they can. Everything is on the line here.
And they're actually doing this central station. So this is not clearing evac for some of you newer players joining us today. This is central station where you can actually unlock it if enough power-up facilities have been powered up, and 2 Zeals are coming over to probably try and contest them for this, because it is one of those contracts that will definitely give you a ton of VPs if you can stay in this white circle around. And one thing I do want to talk about is the choice of kits here.
We actually have a fight going on right now. There's an entire team trying to push into the central station right now, and it looks like Team TTV, by the way, is going to pick the fight. They're going to try and take out this team. I don't know if that's the smart thing to do. Looks like they might actually back off, let the team take the rest of this central station. How in the world should they play this?
I don't think that they need a PvP. They're in second place now. They lost first place, but they have Team Yarg pushing on them. They're in third place. And then as we can see, Menorca's team's still in 5th place. What do you think Menorca can do right now?
At this point, Menorca really just needs to put absolutely everything on the line, all hands on deck. If I were them, I would go for Velticites, do absolutely all of the Velticites I could, grab a Zeal, go do power up, literally anything possible for them to do. I would try and do it. If it comes to the last resort, if I were Team Cobots, I would go try and eliminate other teams just to get themselves up in positioning there.
So we have Team Yarg taking Team TTV's Refiners. So I don't know if Team TTV is going to really like that. And I think we could be seeing a fight here. So I think they're about to fight. So let's just kind of sit back and see who gets to win these Refiners. It's only over 3 Refiners. But Team Yarg really being aggressive, and they're actually in a fight right now.
Very close fight, but his teammate is actually pushing in.
Is he going to get the revive?
I would assume he would. That team, actually, there's 2 players here.
His recall, okay.
He used his recall to get out of there. There's only 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in this match. They need to capitalize on this. The first place team has really pulled ahead with 30 VPs already.
I mean, I feel like the only people that can contest them is Team TTV, by the way, because they are only 5 VPs behind. And as you guys can see, that evac ship is coming, and if you can clear all of the AIs at evac, you're going to get 5 points. You can make that up. You evac, you get 6. You stop them from getting any more points, and you will be well off. I'm trying to figure out who that team in first place is right now. I'm not able to catch a glimpse right now, and it looks like that is Team Genesis that actually is in first place. So they came in 4th place back in week 1. So it looks like they're trying to prove that they deserve that top 5 spot.
Also, right now in the overall leaderboard standings, Team Genesis is the 4th place team, as we do see some fighting going on. Team Cobots right now trying to take a Veltcite. Team TTV, by the way, taking some shots right here, trying to snipe them off. Looks like there are 2 Zeal shards that are being fought over right now for Team TTV, by the way. And I'm not sure if this is worth the fight. They're pretty close to their next Zeal, so I think that is why they are taking this fight, trying to get some damage done. That was a great hit by Cobra right here. They're going to push in here. Desperate Saint pushing in as that
Somebody's
front
down.
line man.
They lost their triage. So it looks like teams are very low. Sadly, that's some of the streamers that didn't decide to go live for this tournament. But it looks, wow, what a snipe from Cobra. He is deadly with this comrade. So, I mean, if you guys are looking for a great sniper, this is definitely an option. I don't know, the player does have his triage, so they don't get to full foam him, but they do win some Zeal Crystals. One thing I want to point out, those weren't red Zeal Crystals. Whoever is able to control that red Zeal Crystal will get 0.3 points because you get three VPs for it. So
now, right now, Team TTV, by the way, is actually fighting with Team Yarg and Wadu Heckington, the team captain for Team Yarg. He is trying to get away because he knows it's not worth, but Team TTV, by the way, is relentlessly following him. These sniper shots are landing for Cobra right now. You can see the intensity on his face. The communication is going strong. They just got that extra point for having the Zeal, trying to pull this game together as best they can. There's only a minute and 30 seconds left. This could determine the entire tournament in the next minute, depending on how this plays out.
So we did say that Team Cobots really needed to push Veltcite minerals if they wanted to get their VPs back. And that's exactly what they're doing. But with 2 teammates already foamed, there's not much you can do. You kind of just got to cut your losses and try to get out with some points at all. Because, I mean, if you get 0, it's just a huge setback that you need to make up in those past weeks. Luckily, they did have the first spot in week 1, so they just kind of banking on that right now. Carnage, what place were they in for this week right now?
So right now, Team Cobots is in 6th place by not very much. They're about 6 points behind the first place team, Team North Shore Gaming. So if they don't perform great in this game right here, they could end up dropping a little bit more, but it is better to perform with, 3 or 4 points than to get absolutely none. We see that the evac ship has arrived. Now, if I were some of these teams, I would make sure that one player gets out before anything, and then a lot of these teams need to just leave everyone out and just put everything on the line here. We see it looks like Wadu Heckington has evac'd from the planet, so Team Yarg is safe, securing their points. The second place overall team right now. Team TTV, by the way, in second place with 35, trying to do whatever they can
Team
to get
Cobots also evac'd. I just want to point that out. They were the first team to send somebody. And it looks like Team Genesis is still getting more VP, trying to build that VP gap from Cobra. But Cobra's being shot out right now, and he's with one of his teammates. So it looks like it's a 2v1, but he's trying to keep that
player.
Oh, he did. Well, look at that. There's just a player sitting there. He gets a red zeal and he gets out. Somebody just boot-ganged that red zeal and just got out with it.
That is absolutely insane. I did say this is going to come down to the wire, and it looks like it is within a 1-point difference for first place. This 1 point could prove to determine the entire tournament.
So, I mean, I just feel so bad for Team Cobots. They were 1 point away from being in 4th place. That's just, it's really got to suck going from just some high VP games, and then you have one bad match, and it can just throw off your whole view of the tournament, of like what you have to do next week. I know that this is the last match for today, but we still have next week, and I would love to see them maybe change their mindset, because they were doing so well in those first 2 matches, and then this one, they just fell behind. They need to come back strong next week if they want one of those top 5 spots. And I'm just going to be interested to see how the scores actually play out, because I want to see if a team can actually just qualify and forget about playing in week 3, because I think that might be kind of cool if they could secure their spot.
Yeah, like I've been saying after every single one of these matches, this is only week 2 of a 3-week-long qualifier. So every single point that you get is going to add up over time, and it's going to really matter a whole lot more than if it were just a 1-week-long thing. So I'm going to go over the round 2 scores one more time just to let you guys know where we are at right now, and we'll make some predictions about how we think these scores are going to pan out. So, been holding first place the entire tournament. Team North Shore GG. Next, we have Team Yarg, which we saw them with a great performance there, putting everything on the line in the second place. Behind them, Team Africa. Team Genesis as well. We had them in that game. Sadly, we were not able to cast their perspective, but they're the 4th place team right now. They could really make something happen, because that last game, it seemed like they played it pretty well. And then in 5th place, Team OxyClean. And after that, we just have a lot of our other teams that have been trying their best. There aren't many teams that are just doing absolutely terrible. All of these teams came out here to compete, and it really does show. All of these teams are within like decimals of points of each other. So I will be very excited to see how these games turn out. I think this is going to come down to the wire.
I really want to see Team Africa's match. We have not been able to see them actually compete because they are a new team this week, and they're up here just destroying. But the scores that we're seeing aren't in total. They're just for this week. So it would be kind of interesting to see how they're going to place on the actual overall match, because they're not going to be as high because they've only competed in 1 week. And that's a bit scary for me. But if they have the performance that they had tonight, they're definitely going to get that spot if they can just basically match the same skill level that they showed. If they show it next week, then I think that they could have a spot at getting an invite to the Invitational. So I just want to explain that, guys. I know that we've been addressing it a ton, but next week we will have another casted weekly tournament, and then that will be the end for the weeklies, and then we move on to an Invitational where the top 5 teams will get a spot. Miles, Carnage, do you have any predictions of who your top 5 are going to be, or who's going to get an invite to that Invitational?
So, I have some insider information from this last game, which leads me to believe North Shore GG is definitely going to get an invitation to the Invitational as long as they just show up next week at this point. All right, they have been consistently playing so well. I cannot imagine that they end up doing so terribly next week that they are not able to even qualify for the Invitational. Now, Team Cobots, I can definitely see them getting an invitation. It's really going to depend on next week. They have a lot riding on next week because they did so good during week 1. Week 2, we did not see as strong of a performance out of them, which I was kind of disappointed in. I was really hoping that we were going to be able to see them do a lot more, but we're just going to have to hope that next week they are able to come through with it. Team OxyClean, that's kind of the same for them. Week 1, they had such a good game, such a good couple of games, actually, and put them in 3rd place for week 1. But, I mean, after these games, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Some of these newer teams have been coming in and really showing that they have what it takes. For instance, Team Genesis. Team Genesis came in 4th place last week, kind of flew under the radar, and then this week, again, putting out a very, very solid performance. Now, I do want to talk about the scores that we are going to be totaling up right now. Like I said, I have some insider information. Okay, right now the 1st place team is North Shore GG. They're in 1st place by a total of about 0.6 points in the PCL score. So they're only about 0.6 points ahead right now. But if we look at the game that they just played in, like I said, insider information, they got a 60 VP 1st place game in a full PCL lobby.
Wow.
Now, if you guys know anything about these PCL tournaments, getting 60 VPs in a full lobby is absolutely astounding. That is insane. The fact that they've been able to show such a steady, just great performance throughout week 1 and week 2, all of their matches, shows just how great of a team they are. Honestly, North Shore GG, my personal favorites. They are my personal pick to go on and win the Invitational.
My favorite part about seeing North Shore at the top and just keep on performing so well is the fact they've been in the PCL since season 1 with the same set 5. They have a sub that they will change weekly, and they've kept it. Nobody's quit playing. They might have stopped playing, but they still come back for the tournaments. So they haven't quit the game completely, which I love to see. Just players keep on coming back. And any team that competed in this week, we hope to see you guys next week. And we hope that you guys watching come and stop by next week, because we're going to be doing the same thing again. It's going to be on the official PRO.Spectors Twitch, so be sure that you catch that. But I think that I'm going to be looking for North Shore to definitely be getting an invite. And then I think Team Yarg definitely has a chance because they played so well tonight. I would love to see Team Africa just come back. They didn't play week 1. I would love to see them come and get a spot, and they're probably not going to get the top spot. I would expect them to possibly only be able to come close to getting that 5th spot. So that's going to be a battle to the races. And then that's going to be 3 of my picks. And then I think Team TTV is going to get a spot. They've been putting in some hours, and they've just been having fun with the game. I know that they have been basically averaging 7th place, but I think that they're going to shine next week. And then,
yeah, also, I would like to give a shout out to the dev team at Jaeger again for creating the cycle and for helping us get custom lobbies implemented into the game that is going to help these tournaments a whole lot. So shout out to the entire dev team over at Jaeger. Back to you.
So my 5th and last spot that I have, I think it's going to go with Cobots. If I was Menorca and his team, I'd be pretty pissed off about that last finish. Coming 5th place is not like them. And I think right now they're discussing what needs to get done, because that's just not acceptable from the standard that they hold themselves to. I think that they're talking about maybe what they could have chosen to prioritize contract-wise, whether they should have taken fights when they shouldn't. There's so many small decisions you have to make in each match of the cycle, and it makes it such a great game, because let's say you don't choose to pick up a Velta site when there's basically at the start of the game, so 20 minutes left, you don't pick up 100 credit Velta site or a 100 Velta site, and then later down the line, you're basically getting ready to evac, you're 1v behind that last or the 1st place team, and you're only 100 VP 100 minerals away from getting the next contract and getting more VPs where you could have taken the lead. So there's just so many small decisions that you really have to choose. And if you don't, you have to make the most of it. You have to come back the next week and just show that you're here to win.
Yeah, for sure. I think consistency is very key. And also, like you were talking about, that 1 point can literally decide so much. It is so very important that you put everything on the line at all times for every single game. I've seen Team North Shore doing that so much, which is why I have them as one of my personal favorites. I mean, they go for every single extra 1 point they can get because, as corny as it sounds, every single point does matter so much. Now, we should be getting some of our final results going in here pretty soon. Our last teams are just finishing up, sending in our scores. I see that we do have a 70 VP game coming out from a team. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but 70 VPs, that's pretty good. Also, guys, if you have not played the cycle and you are new here for whatever reason, go Google the cycle or go onto the Epic Games launcher and download the cycle. It is a completely free PvE VP game. It is very much fun. You guys can join these tournaments whenever you would like to. You do not have to be a professional necessarily, but it is always great to see these new teams come in, especially these new teams that are coming in and competing at such a high level. For instance, Genesis, Yarg. What do you think about these new teams that are just coming in and really performing so well?
I love it. I love to see just like new teams giving a run at some of the vets or the OGs like Team OxyClean. They blew away at the first season of the PCL, and now we're getting new teams to actually challenge them. And that's awesome. I love to see that. I want this game to grow, and with that, we need to see just new players come in and challenge the old vets. It's so nice because like you have the players playing for 9 months that know what you're doing, and then you have teams coming from different backgrounds, because I know that we've had teams at least last week that came from professional gaming. Like we had a ton of Paladins team. We had one Paladins pro team that stuck together. They've been playing for around a year now, and I can't remember what team that is, but just the fact that we have professional gamers of other teams coming in and playing the game, it's awesome. They're giving like OGs a run for their money, and it's just great to see.
Also, just the fact that we have so much diversity among all of these teams. We have teams from all over the world. We have teams from Africa. We have teams from all over Europe, teams all over North America, so many different countries, so many different players all coming together. There are even teams that are out here waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning in their time zones just to come out here and compete and show what they have. And that is just really awesome to see. The fact that all of these players have so much invested into this and really want to be the best is very, very great. Now, very exciting. We have the scores coming in. Now, this is the first round of scoring that they have done. So we're going to say that this is final as of now. Our first place team, we have a tie. There is a tie for first place this week. Oh, this goes to show how important these 0.1 credits are. Every single credit you get is so important. So the tie for first place goes to North Shore, GG, and Team Genesis, both tying with 39.1.
So I just want to put out there, we do see how many VPs each team did have. So North Shore had a total of 151 VP, whereas Genesis had 121 VP. So that means that it doesn't just come down to how many VPs you get. It also depends on what your placement is, because you could get 60 VPs like I believe North Shore had. But then you have another team, possibly they could be in the same lobby, probably not likely, but they step above that. Like we had a team with 70 VPs. So if they were in the same lobby, then North Shore's missing out on some crucial VPs, I would say. So
yeah, so I'm just going to go through the rest of these scores real quick. We have Team North Shore and Team Genesis tying for first, and then an impressive performance from Team Africa coming in third, Team Yarg coming in fourth, Team OxyClean in fifth, Short Bus in sixth, Team Grief Gaming in 7th, TTV, by the way, in 8th, Cobots in 9th, Patriotic Platypus in 10th, Stone Fateau in 11th, Console OP in 12th, Leafman in 13th, Eliminators in 14th, and then finally Dumpster Fire in 15th.
So, I mean, we do have a team that just started this week in last place. So that does kind of suck for them, but hopefully they'll stick around and just keep on competing because they will get better playing in these high competitive matches because you get to play with the best players in the cycle, and that's the best part about it. So I'm kind of surprised that Cobots dropped so much. They were in first place going into this week. I don't know if these scores are all correct, guys. Like, we are not sure. So if anything changes, then, I mean, in the PCL Discord, there will definitely be a notification for that. So if you guys haven't already, be sure to join the PCL Discord. I don't know if it's in our description or not, but it will be on the VOD. It is in our descriptions.
Also, something that I found very, very impressive, Team Africa coming in the first tournament they've actually played in and ended up in 3rd place overall. That is astounding. Coming out from Team Africa. Also, I do know a lot of the players from Team Africa are some of those players that woke up very early to compete in this tournament. They were trying to prove that they had what it takes, and I think they did just that. Very impressive performance. Congratulations to Team Africa, Team North Shore GG, and Team Genesis for your top 3 spots. Like you were talking about Dumpster Fire, it is their first week competing, and honestly, you can kind of expect that from a team that it is their first week. We've seen teams come in first week, get last, and then the next week finish in first place. It really is just going to depend on them getting their teamwork down, prioritizing their contracts. They're just really going to need to play more together, learn from this, and come back next week and play even better than they did.
So I'm just looking at this, and I think that this might just be this week. I'm not sure if this is overall, like all of the points combined with circuit points, but this is just this week, guys. I just want to point that out. Because
that is true. This is only this week's points, so these scores are not for the overall circuit. But even with just these scores and nothing being 100% finalized, I can say with confidence, North Shore GG is going to be our first place leader going into week 3 for the overall circuit. Team Genesis is going to be up there in the top 3 as well. And then, honestly, if we see Team Africa come in here and then end up getting into the Invitational after only playing in week 2, that is going to be very, very impressive out of them.
I mean, if they keep on playing and they start from the beginning of a season, I am going to be very interested to see how they do because they are a force to be reckoned with. So you guys have to watch out for Team Africa because they are here to prove that they deserve to be well known. I mean, they're representing Africa, one of many of the countries that have been playing in this tournament. We have teams from Australia, we have teams from Asia, we have teams from Europe, we have teams from North America, even the South American countries we have represented tonight. It's just all around the globe. We have teams playing the cycle, and it's just so cool to see. And I cannot wait for next week because it's going to be the same fun, except now teams are going to be fighting because it's their last week to try to earn a spot in that invitational. So they're going to want to be that top 5 spot.
Yeah, honestly, this week was absolutely crazy. All of the fights that were happening, all the PvP we saw, these teams' different strategies, all of that. Team North Shore's consistent performance across all of these weeks, really everything added up is just absolutely mind-blowing. These teams have been putting in so much work to get where they are. It is very impressive to see all of the effort coming out, all of it going on the line. Also, if you guys do want more information on these teams, a lot of these teams do have Twitch streamers. So go ahead, check on Twitch, see who is streaming, go check out their streams, ask them for tips, maybe try and join a team, anything like that you guys are able to do. That was insanely fun to cast, insanely fun to watch. I hope you all had a wonderful time with us. Monix, would you like to take it away?
So guys, I mean, it's been so much fun casting. This week we didn't have technical issues. We had a few, but we didn't have to stop the stream for it, which is awesome. I love casting. This is like my first full week casting. I know Carnage has done it in like previous seasons, and I just can't wait to see where we can go from here. We're going to get all of the things sorted out, and we're going to get used to like switching teams and like streams and everything, so that hopefully we can get even quicker into each of the lobbies. Working next week as we don't know if you guys can still hear me, but we're back. My PC froze because we are talking about technical difficulties, but we're trying to get faster. We're trying to speed up the PC, and we're just trying to make this more professional. Next week, we are going to be streaming on the official PCL Twitch, so be sure that you guys are followed to that. We will be getting more information on that later on. Be sure to join the PCL Discord. And that's all I have to say. Carnage, just a few last words.
Yeah, I hope you guys all will come and compete next week and come support the stream on Twitch. Thank you all so much for joining us in week 2 of season 3 of the official PCL qualifiers. I